glad that we can finally talk about the stove. I feel like it's been like this like big secret, and it's not really a secret. It's just I didn't want to talk about it until it was in, just because it was such a different scenario, and a lot of us know like how much these cost, and I wanted to come at it at the angle that it is, and that is it's obtainable for those of us who want to invest in a stove. I'm not saying this is cheap by any means, but it is a lot less than what I was going to spend on a different one. And I should do a roundup of stoves that we considered that I love. They were mostly all a lot more than this one ended up being, which is funny because this one is usually like quadruple the price of the ones that I could get. So anyways, not cheap, but the investment that we wanted to make in the kitchen, and I'm just so thankful for it. I want to do a full tour of it today because there's a lot of like interesting elements to it. And for those of you who've been considering one, or I mean, there was so many funny people in the comments like, what's an aga? And I love you guys. It was funny. I love the conversation around it. A lot of people asking a lot of great questions. So I'm going to put a question box up here as well. I will try to answer the ones that are in the comments. I tried to go through yesterday and answer like a ton, but I'll put a question box up and we'll do a tour. Jose and I really want to share like cooking videos with you. We've been having so much fun cooking with this thing and learning. Like I said, it is a lifestyle. Like an aga is a lifestyle change. It's always on, it's always running. The temperatures are always set in each of the little doors there, are always set to a certain temperature. It's a whole lifestyle change. A lot of people put clotheslines above it to dry their clothes above it. It's neat. Also, an update on the brick floor and the brick wall. Our mason came yesterday to grab a sample board from that we had made of this brick and the grout to test out sealers on to see which sealer that we wanted to go with. I will share that with you as soon as we get the sample board back. Still unsure of how we're going to seal it, but that is the update on this. And also, you guys know with our painted floors that aren't going to be in the entire house anymore once we do our renovations, but it was more of like kind of a temporary board situation. Not saying that we won't have painted floors, but we're either going to like scooch the boards closer, I'll explain that later. But anyways, we don't care if the floor gets like worn and aged and used. So either way. Also, speaking of dupes of things and more affordable, these are not Birkenstocks. They are faux, and I got them from Amazon, and they are the most comfy thing in the whole world, and I'll be wearing them with everything. So I added them to the Liz Loves folder because I love them, and honestly, I wore my Birks all winter long, and so we just moved into the sandal version. I had the fleece lined ones. I literally wore them with everything. They're just my style. Probably not everyone's style, but if they're yours, you can get these faux Birkenstocks, I think for under $30, and they're really comfortable. I think they're Cushionaire is the brand, super comfortable. So yeah, these are the color Stone, by the way, but I love all the colors.
Real quick, people have been asking what are the doors, what are everything. So this is the roasting oven. Average, there's hard averages out there or rough numbers out there. This is, we'll just call it 450 degrees. That's what it looks like. Again, radiant heat, all sides, top, bottom, sides, and the back. A little bit different than a conventional oven that's got a fan or a single element on the sides or top. All around cooking, and that's the same for all of them. So roasting, baking, so this is 350 roughly, same size. It looks a little bit smaller, but we've been throwing full skillets in there, full lodges, cast iron pans in there. This is our heating element, our burner assembly. We are running gas here, so that is what you can see on there. There's an adjustable knob right there, and that indicates on this little, I guess you call it thermometer. This down here is our simmering, hot plate. This is our warmer, this is our plate warmer. And then this one is our simmering rack right here. So heat rises through these, so that's why these two are the hotter ones on each side. This is a hot heat plate or warming plate. We did some tortillas the other night, and I just left them on here, and they stayed warm while we're eating. We're coming back over here and grab it. Boiling plate. This thing is hot. You really don't feel any heat with it down. These are called hobs. Pick that up, and you can feel the heat right away. And they say it's about the same as this one, so about 450. I want to shoot it with a little laser to make sure. And this is our simmering hot plate. We treat it like a griddle, or we did spaghetti the other night, and it just kept the simmer perfectly. But I throw tortillas. We did a grilled cheese today. There's two models, direct flute and open flute. This is the open flute, so you can see this B vent that sticks up, and we have it exhausting through. And then again, our little thermometer, this little line right here is kind of saying it's at operating perfect temp, and that's where we kind of adjust our little heat element down there.
Me, I love neutrals, and I did consider the white. In fact, my mind was racing for weeks over white or cream, and they had both available used. They were the same price, but we ultimately went with the cream. This is the original color, which I felt really good about, bringing that historic factor into our home. And also, a lot of the white is going away. I know that's weird to think about, but we will no longer have white floors. I wanted it to be warmer. I wanted it to go along with the colors and stuff that we were bringing in. And I also, the white one looked newer, like it looked like a newer appliance, whereas the cream truly looked old. And yes, this is a used piece, so it is old. It's not brand new. But you know what I mean? Like, I wanted it to look like truly, authentically vintage.
So I think so we bought this pre-owned. So it wasn't even a dime in the rough. From learning about the process, there's a lot of pre-owned market out there, and there's a lot of people that have written us and said they bought it full price and they absolutely love it. It was worth the investment, and I'm sure it is. It just was out of our budget, brand new. So our installer said he has like 10 of them on hand. People pay him to take them out, and we're still sitting at about the 70 to 75% off market, even the ones that he has on hand. So I think that alone makes it, within some people's budgets, a lot more friendly than the brand new price. Again, that was way out of our budget. Is it worth it as far as cooking? I mean, we're falling in love with it. We're looking for stuff to put in it. So there's a griddle. There's something's always ready to go. So there's not a whole lot of preheating, debating. You know, when we're running around chasing a 4-year-old, getting things on the oven and cooking right away is So ours is gas. Right now we run propane, but we're actually changing to natural gas later in the year. There are electric models out there as well. And then also there's some models that have, instead of this warming plate, they have a traditional burner, like a stovetop. And then there's, like I said, there's a little adjustment there. When you're shooting for this black line, there's a little mercury indicator, and you want that line to be pretty close to that black indicator right there. And this is what ours looks like. If you're getting one and you're curious on the install, the inlet can come from the bottom, so the gas can come up from the bottom, which is what we chose, or it can go from side to side, left or right. So that's something that we didn't know while we were putting the whole thing together. So that is a quick tour of our gas. The weirdest thing about this unit is it's always on. So people have been asking, okay, if it's always on, what's the cost? So a couple things I think that play into that. This thing is insulated, I would say fully. There's vermiculite, and then like, if you saw in the photos yesterday, there's like a wool top. I don't know what material that was, but it was insulation. So there's a little bit of radiant heat as I'm standing here, but it's not a lot. This thing I think is giving out the most, this heat warming plate. But also with that is cast iron, so it's all radiant heat. Once it's heated up to this optimal temperature, it just radiates that heat and maintains it. There's no preheating, there's no balancing it. When you open up a traditional oven, it loses that heat. This thing kind of maintains it. Yeah, if I leave the doors open, it loses it. But I think all of that said, from what we've learned or what we're told is, it's just slightly more than a traditional oven. And it's all because of the insulation and that cast iron radiant heat.
This is your vibe. I want to be friends. this is your vibe, I want to be friends.